Welcome to the source. The source. Source. Hey, get the source.
Yo, happy Tuesday to everybody. Hope you all had a lovely Monday night. I sure as shit didn't. I had a nice little weekend betting wise, but last night, Cubs blew it. Giants, they had like 3 base runners the entire game, still went to extra innings and lost. Went 0-3. Unfortunate night for me personally, but a lot of people did well in the group. So I think some home run props hit or something that people in the group were on. I don't know if Modi, did you have a good Monday, Modi?
I was okay. I was up like a little bit less than a unit. Not amazing, but I'll take a day when I'm making money.
We will take it.
Yeah.
Up a little less than a unit, certainly better than I was. All right. So it looks like we've abandoned Restream. If you're wondering why the chat's functioning, it's because we said peace on Restream. We're back to stream elements. The chat is a little, doesn't look as cool, but it's functioning, and we'll take that. All right, so we got 15 baseball games to get to, 5 ACC teams, and the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's get started. Nationals in Baltimore. Prop Beaver, you can go ahead and throw up an over graphic for me. Didn't bet this. This is the only way I'd go. Jake Irvin, I don't know what's going on with Jake Irvin. He seems to be falling off a cliff a little bit. He also struggles with lefty bats. Baltimore's loaded with lefty bats. I mean, I don't have a ton of faith in Jake Irvin pitching well here. And on the other side, look, it's not that I think Trevor Rogers is bad. And in fact, I think he's had a little bit of a tough shake. If you look at his schedule, he's pitched against some really tough lineups. I actually think Trevor Rogers is a respectable lefty, but the Nets have been hitting lefty starters recently. So I expect the Nets to get at least 1 or 2 off him. Should get over the total. Neither bullpen is particularly blowing me away. So it would be over a pass for me.
I played Nats team total over 3.5 for me. I think it was like in the minus 135 range. But like Sauce said, the Nats have been hitting left-handed pitching, and they've actually seen some decent ones. Harrison, Snell, Montgomery sucks, but they tattooed him. They got to Lodolo. So decent names that they're getting to it as well. And I just wanted to point out that I know that they lost some guys like Lane Thomas, but Alex Call and Juan Yepes have been hitting left-handed pitching extremely well for them. So you add them with Abrams and Vargas and Young, they're formidable. I'll take my chances with Washington against that Baltimore bullpen that we know is shaky at best. So I know that Baltimore is also coming off. I also don't really love the spot for Baltimore coming off that road trip where they played a division-leading Cleveland team, a division series in Toronto, and then Tampa Bay, and now they come home to play the lowly Nats. So a little bit of a possible sleepy spot for me with Baltimore. So that's why I ended up passing on them altogether and not playing the over and just focus on those Nats bats versus lefties.
Yeah, obviously, I think it goes over, so I agree with that. Modi, anything for us in this one?
I do. Starting off with a double dong.
And it makes you feel down. And it makes you feel down. And it makes you feel down. Down. Down.
No warning at all on the song. Prop Beaver just went boom, like threw it out there. All right, so hit us with this quote unquote double dong.
Double dong, Colton Cowser, Jackson Holiday. When I blocked this in, Jackson Holiday was plus 870. He's now down to plus 680. I still think that's crazy for him, who's been incredible. If you look at his stats since he's been called back up on July 31st, he's hit 5 home runs, 40% ISO rate, 25% barrel rate, 57.1% hard hit rate. He's second in the MLB in quote balls launched over the last 2 weeks, which just means 100 miles per hour off the bat between 20 and 40 degree launch angle. He's been phenomenal, and he's also crushed Jake Irvin's pitch mix, who you guys already illustrated hasn't been great recently. He is thought of as an off-speed stuff, but when he's facing lefties, he predominantly throws fastballs like about 50% of the time. Both Holiday and Cowser crushed fastballs from right-handed pitching over the past month. And then after that, he throws a curveball that makes up like 80% of his pitch mix. They both crush curveballs as well. I know a lot of people are going to be on Santander, which I'm not going to talk you out of. I just liked the matchup and pitch mix a little bit better for these two, and you're getting better odds. So that's where I went with. I put both of them in the round robin that I play.
All right. 2 home run props from Modai, who I saw you literally put the words Dong Lord in your Twitter bio. So, Dong Lord,
actually
self-proclaimed.
I don't even remember doing that, but I no. The Dong Master. I was going to say, I didn't think
The
it was
Dong
the
Master.
Dong Lord. The Dong Master.
Kim Dong-un. Next up.
Oh, that's good. I've not heard that. That's really good.
Mariners, Tigers, and what it says TBD, but it's Kirby pitching, right? Did that change?
Unless I'm not. Yeah, it's Kirby confirmed.
I
Yeah.
had Kirby, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought. Yeah. So judging by the fact you add in the fact that we just saw these 2 teams play, we just saw this exact pitching matchup, and I just lost money betting George Kirby in this matchup. I had a full unit on it. This just feels like the ultimate coin flip. I'm certainly not jumping at the opportunity to fade Scooble, but the fact that the Mariners just lost this exact pitching matchup leads me to believe that they'll get this one. So it would only be Mariners, but no way. Pass for me.
Yeah, I did bet the Mariners at plus 100 on ESPN. If you can get to Kirby twice in a row, as I like to say, so be it. But his last 3 road starts have been pretty damn good. At Boston, at the White Sox, at the Angels. I understand those last 2 are nothing to take home about, but at the same time, either is Detroit. So, yeah, they had a leadoff home run against them in the first game, in that first one. It is what it is. I just, again, like I said, if they can do it twice in a row, so be it. Seattle versus left-handed pitching has been pretty decent. And if you're looking at our spreadsheets as well, Seattle absolutely hammers that pitch mix of Tariq Skubal as well. So again, I think Seattle, especially after those wins, after getting that one against Detroit and then sweeping the Mets, maybe they go on a little bit of a run. Detroit's also coming off of a West Coast road trip as well. So don't really love the spot for Detroit either. So I took my chances with the Mariners at plus 100.
Modai?
Yeah, so I went with Scooble over 7.5 strikeouts. I'd like the price at plus 105. He's done it in 3 straight games. The Mariners they're not as bad as they were at the beginning of the year, but they still are like one of the worst strikeout teams in the MLB. Like on the season against left-handed pitching, they have the 3rd highest strikeout rate at 26.2%. Over the last 2 weeks, they've been even worse at 29%. And Scooble's awesome. I mean, he's got the 6th best strikeout rate, 30.1%. He's one of only 6 pitchers above 30%. He's got the 3rd best swinging strike rate and the 2nd best called strike plus whiff rate. Only Chris Sale is better than him in that category. Yeah, so I'm not necessarily saying he's going to pitch a gem, but I do think that he's going to be able to. He might get hit hard while also striking out 8 guys. Like we see that if guys are swinging hard at the bats, so or at his pitches. So yeah, Scoobo over 7.5 strikeouts.
Scooby over K's. All right, next game, please. Cardinals, Reds. Price is a little sketchy to me here. I mean, obviously, Reds bats certainly look fine yesterday. They won 6-1. You got Hunter Green at home against Fetty, who's been struggling. Fetty, who's been better at home all year, and you're getting Fetty on the road. Reds bullpen isn't even in bad shape. I mean, all signs point to the Reds here. Why are they letting us get minus 132s? I don't really understand the price. It seems, I would imagine, Prop Beaver's putting the poll up now. I would imagine every single person is going to be clicking Reds money line here. This, to me, should be minus 155. So I really don't get the price. I'm not going to bet it for that reason, but it would only be Reds. I mean, I don't. Joseph, am I missing something here? Why are they letting us get this price?
I don't know, but I'm done overthinking prices. So I did bet the Reds. I have like 0.91 units on it to make 0.75, but I'm not going to worry about it. I really think that Eric Fetty should struggle here today against all the solid lefties in that Reds lineup with De La Cruz and Friedel and Fraley and Candelario all hitting from the left-handed side with the other guys that can hit right-handed pitching as well. I think that he really struggles here today. We just saw him struggle in Wrigley. I think that he got really lucky in his start against Texas. I think this is a really, really bad spot for him in Great America Ballpark. And then on Hunter Green on the other side, I do worry about him at home, and this being the third or the second time that St. Louis is seeing him. But I mean, his last 3 home starts, I mean, a 0.7 or 0.47 ERA with a 0.58 WHIP, a 2.5 xFIP. I mean, he's been pitching really good. Again, those were bad lineups. I will give you that, but he's coming coming off a game where he didn't really pitch well in Miami. I have a hard time believing he has 2 bad outings in a row. And as you mentioned, the Reds have everybody rested and available in their bullpen. So, again, I've let a couple bad prices sketch me out and lose money not betting them, and I'm not going to do it today. So, yeah, I bet the Reds.
Oda?
Yeah, dong number 3 I have in this one. And I meant to respond earlier. Someone asked how many, or like how I play them. I have 7 that I put in a round robin. I only end up having like 1.05 units risked total. So I just play them times 2. So I have 7, but I don't go crazy with the unit size or anything. And yeah, I mean, Ellie's been on fire. He hit one yesterday. He's just been hitting the crap out of the ball. And I mean, you guys mentioned it. Eric Fetty's been really struggling against left-handed hitters. 10 of his 16 home runs have come to lefties. Since June 10th, 5 of the 8 home runs have come to lefties with the home run per 9 of 1.6. Ellie's much better when he's facing right-handed pitching. He also crushes Fetty's pitch mix, and he's been on fire, and it's at Red Stadium. Yeah, so I mean, Ellie, I feel like he can sometimes just like hit 3 doubles in a game, which he did. I think he did that last week, or he had one game where he hit 2 home runs and 2 doubles because he doesn't always get the launch angle high enough. But he's been on fire, and I'll keep going with him as long as he's hitting the ball hard.
All right. A couple of us, Toast actually did bet the Reds. This was Reds or pass for me. Ellie De La Cruz home run. Next game, please. Prop Beaver, what do you got for us? Marlins, Phillies. This game is titled The Return of Taiwan. Taiwan Walker making his first start in a while. Now, there's definitely something to be said when these guys, whether it's a brief injury or whether it's a stint in the minor leagues, there's definitely something to be said that in a lot of cases, these guys who were really struggling come back and pitch well when they return. I mean, we've seen it with Tristan McKenzie, Tyler McGill. We see these guys do this. That being said, I mean, am I going to put my money on that? Is a different question. I do have some bets open. We just haven't gotten to any of them yet. I think the Phillies should rock this kid. It's Bayozo pitching for the Marlins now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think Taiwan Walker will pitch well. Maybe he fades, depending on how the Phillies are going to use him moving forward. But it'd be Phillies -1.5 or pass for me here. I don't even like my bets today, so I do have some bets coming. We didn't get to any yet. I don't like them. I'm not feeling very confident today.
I do have some bets. I hate them, but
I hate them. I hate all my bets today.
It was almost out of my head, and then it's just yeah, I agree. The only thing I can really add is the reason that I'm not playing Philadelphia is I hate this spot. I mean, they were on a road trip where they went from Seattle, California, Arizona, and now back home. I get they have one day off, but don't really love the spot for them. The offense has been kind of meh the last few days as well, after kind of looking decent. And I will say Taiwan Walker did pitch against Miami earlier in the season when they did have most of their guys, the better ones at least, and he pitched 6 innings, gave up 8 hits and a run. So he did pitch well against them, and he's pitched well against them in his history or in his career. So it'd be Phillies -1.5 or pass, but I can't emphasize more of the pass.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I didn't bet it. I sent it over to you as a pass. If I had to play it, it would be the Phillies, but I have no faith in them. So yeah, I didn't play it.
Matt Modi has no faith in the Phillies. Wow. If
you
you
don't,
don't,
who
who does?
Or the Dodgers.
There's currently no Philadelphia gear hanging behind Matt Modi anymore. This is a man that's lost his roots.
There's some Eagles hats.
Yeah, no one can see that shit. It's gone. It's all gone. It's just Funko Pops now. You've abandoned Philadelphia, Matt. Next up, next up, we come to my first bet. Spoiler alert: I hate it. I hate the shit out of it. I'm on. I don't even want to say it. You go first, Toast.
I don't have. Okay, it would be Cubs or pass for me. Just because of the Cleveland bullpen situation, you have no Clase. I mean, you would assume after 3 straight days. Barlow, Heron, Sandlin, multiple guys worked yesterday as well, while nobody in that Cubs bullpen went to go besides Merriweather, who cares. And Assad's been really, really good after a couple of rough starts. 4 of his last 5 starts have been pretty damn good. Minnesota, St. Louis, on the road to Kansas City, Milwaukee, and St. Louis again. So I think the Cubs have a starting pitching advantage. Clearly, the Cubs showed yesterday that they can score are continuing to score runs. That's why I was on Cleveland yesterday, because I didn't think that they would be able to score. And for them to do that against, and it wasn't like they did that against the bad Cleveland arms too. It was guys that they would have used in that spot regardless, with Barlow and stuff like that. So you can't even give them saying that they got it against the bad Cleveland arms in the bullpen. They got it against the guys that they should have got it against. So Cubs are the only way I bet this game.
Yeah, I'm on the Cubs. And to the comments, I'm not, Mike, I don't like my bets today because I hate the slate today, not because I had one losing day. Actually, last week wasn't even bad for me. I was having a winning week entering yesterday, so I finished slightly below zero, but it wasn't even a bad week. I don't like these games in particular. I did bet the Cubs here. Matthew Boyd is going to be pitching for Cleveland, and he throws with his left arm. The Cubs have murdered the last few lefties they've seen. Really impressive numbers. And there's actually some decent arms in there. Hold on. I think I have it open right here. Ready for this? In the last 30 days, the Cubs are the best lineup in baseball against lefties, first in WRC+. In the last 30 days, the Cubs are the fourth best road lineup in baseball, fourth in WRC+. So they're hitting lefties. They're hitting the ball on the road. The last three lefties to pitch against the Cubs, Garrett Crochet, they murdered him. 7 earned runs, 9 hits. He didn't even make it out of the third inning. Before that, Nick Lodolo murdered him. 8 earned runs, 11 hits. Before that, Cole Reagans hit the shit out of him. 4 earned runs, 9 base runners, and 5 and change innings of work. So we're talking about 3 solid left. They crushed Cole Irvin right before that as well, but he's not as good as the other names. So we're talking about 3 respectable lefties in a row that have gotten smacked by the Cubs. And now we're talking about Matthew Boyd. I didn't trust this dude with Detroit. I don't trust him here in Cleveland. So the Cubs should definitely hit him. Now it's Javier Assad. I know that's going to scare the shit out of some people, and I'd be lying if I said it didn't scare the shit out of me a little bit. But he does have nice numbers against lefty bats. He can get outs against lefties, and this Cleveland lineup's loaded with lefties. I don't like it. I hate it. Plus 130, though, I got to do it. You know they're taking a lot of Cleveland action. That line seems pretty set in stone at plus 130. So I'm on the Cubs, even though they can't believe they fucked that up last night on me. Cubs.
Yeah, I didn't play this one. You guys were convincing about the Cubs, but yeah, I didn't play this.
Cubs up. Next up.
Cubs up.
Astros Rays. Ugh. I bet this one. I hate it. I hate the shit out of it.
Not smart.
You don't like my bet?
I do not.
All right. Yeah, explain to me how Kikuchi's going to pitch then.
I think that they've messed with his pitch mix a little bit.
They messed with it. They messed
with
it.
Love your bet, Vincent. Why don't you tell us why you love your bet so much, Mr. Ray?
Because the Rays can hit lefties, and they just saw this dude. They just saw Kikuchi. They just saw him. And
how did he do against him?
I mean, it wasn't terrible. They didn't really get to him, but they just saw him. Now he's on the road in the Trop. I expect him to get to Kikuchi. I do. They just saw this guy. Yup.
Scary. Nobody wants to play in the Trop.
Nobody.
Yeah.
And Shane Baz looks so bad in his last start, but his starts before that weren't that bad. I hate the bet. I don't want to talk about it.
So for me, I'm just going to continue to find ways to bet on Houston. So I ended up splitting this 2 ways. I played Houston team total over 4.5, and I played Houston money line. Kikuchi, Kyle's right. Kikuchi just saw this Tampa Bay Rays team in Houston, a very similar environment. He had, what was it, the second batter of the game, Carlson hit a home run, and it was 2-0. And then after that, he had, 11 strikeouts. So he pitched extremely well against them. He had a bad first 2 batters. He looked very good on the road to Texas as well. I expect him to pitch really well here today, not to mention the fact that he has a full bullpen behind him with Hader, Presley, and Abreu. None have worked the last couple of nights as well. Baz has been decent. This isn't me thinking that I think that the Astros are just going to smash Baz, but at the same time, they've been absolutely rolling right now. And against right-handed pitching, it hasn't looked so bad, but at the same time, they're putting up runs. They're putting up runs on bullpens as well. So it only takes one bad inning from this Rays team. And like I said yesterday, I think this Rays team's in a little bit of a downward spiral. So yeah, I just couldn't pass up the short price with Houston.
Someone said Kyle's going to be on the show tomorrow saying fuck the Cubs. That's dead ass. Bodai, are you with me on the Rays? Back me up.
I'm not. I have another strikeout prop, Kikuchi over 7.5. I just really like this because the price, it's plus 134 at FanDuel. That might have come down. I guess I should check that. I mean, he's been on fire since he's been with the Astros. I mean, it's only been 2 starts, so you don't want to make too big of a deal out of a small sample size. But 11 strikeouts against the Rays, that was his last start. Who you guys mentioned, 8 strikeouts against the Rangers in his his start prior to that. 50% and 35% strikeout rate in his last 2 starts. And he's been good recently. Like, you look at his last 10 starts, 33.2% strikeout rate. He's gotten at least 8 strikeouts in 4. So yeah, he hasn't hit it at the 50% rate, but we're also getting him at plus 134. And in 2 of those starts, he had 7. So still would have counted as an under, but would have been the hook and still would have been close. And the Rays, they're not quite the Mariners, but they still strike out a lot. The 5th highest strikeout rate on the year against left-handed pitching and the 3rd highest over the past 2 weeks. Granted, a lot of that has to do with the start that Kikuchi, when he smacked him for 11 strikeouts, but they have a strikeout rate of 31.6% over the last 2 weeks. I mean, he had a slow start to the year, but I always thought Kikuchi was good. I think that the Astros, plus 134 odds, happy to play, and I think the Astros kind of identified that he could perform better for them. So yeah, I thought that was a good price. Again, I only put a half unit on it, and a lot of it was a play on the price, but that's where I went.
I am truly on an island. This has got to be the most one-sided poll of the day. 80% to 10% in favor of the Astros, our viewers. So, yeah, I'm the only man on the planet betting the Rays. Me and Jermaine Connolly. I see Jermaine Connolly in the comments.
Shout out, Jermaine.
Jermaine Connolly saying Rays. He's got Rays minus 1.5. Reversed it. Let's go. So, me and Jermaine Connolly stand tall on our Rays island. Next up, Oakland Mets. Dude. Talk about the unluckiest start to a tenure with a team, Paul Blackburn. He starts off. So we obviously the Mets acquired him during what?
Yeah, it's screwed up.
Can't the man get a home game against the Pirates? He's in the NL now. Hook him up. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, the Mets acquired Paul Blackburn during the trade deadline, right? So he joins this new team. His first start is on the road in LA, an Angels team that's in his old division that knows him very well and that he had just pitched against. So unlucky. How often do the Mets even play the Angels? Not often at all. It's just unlucky. Then what was the second spot he had? In Coors Field. And now here's his third start pitching against his old team. So I'm still waiting. I think Paul Blackburn is going to be successful pitching for the Mets. I'm just still waiting for the spot, and this isn't in. In fact, I don't know. Based on the lack of production from the Mets bats in that Seattle series, I don't even think this is a terrible spot to look towards Oakland, honestly. I mean, I'm not betting. This is a straight pass across the board for me. This is just another one. Oakland hitting against their old guy, and Blackburn's been there for several years. I don't know. It's a pass.
For me, it's a straight pass for me. Mets coming home from a West Coast road trip, coming out of Coors and Seattle, 2 spots that just absolutely terrible for hitters. Opposite for hitters. Coors is very good. Seattle is really weird. Now there's this conspiracy theory that Oscar Hernandez is putting out there that the mound is crooked and all this stuff. Kind of interesting, but anyway, yeah, it's a hard pass.
Modi?
Yeah, I pass on this one too. I know a lot of people like the Rooker home run, which I don't think is terrible. He didn't make my list, but I straight passed on this one too.
Pass across the board. Wow. All right, let's move on to Texas Boston. What are your thoughts on this one, Toast? Boston ended up winning in extras yesterday.
Yeah, they did. I have no idea what to think of this one.
Me neither.
I couldn't. I wasn't even. I just. Cutter Crawford has been so bad. I mean, I don't know what to think of the Boston bats. I mean, they finally came alive late in the game yesterday after not doing essentially anything for 3 days. You would assume they've already seen Jose Urena earlier this year. It was in Texas, but they absolutely slaughtered him. So you would assume an over, considering in Fenway Park today, it's essentially 70, 75 degrees with the wind slightly blowing out. I mean, all is good in Fenway. I mean, you would expect to see runs. I mean, now Texas is starting to score runs a little bit. I think
not against righty starters, man.
So again, but they've absolutely killed Carter Crawford earlier this year as well. So again, my point is it looks like an easy over. I have no idea what to do as far as this game is concerned.
I feel like this.
I don't trust either bullpen, so I mean that's even more case for an over. But
yeah, I feel like I could see this game being 2-0. I can see this game being 13-12. I have no idea what to think about this game.
I mean, if I have to gun to my head, it would be Texas, just because I don't think that Cutter Crawford and that Boston bats the way they're producing should be minus 145 against anybody. But again, that's how bad Texas has been. So it's just
both bullpens are on the tax side, like you said. So I guess over or pass. You can just put over up. There's no way.
That's what I'm saying. I get a 10.
Yeah,
many things have to go right for a 10-run.
This might be a home run game. Moda, do you have one?
I do. It's the most obvious home run play on the planet. It's Corey Seager. Yeah, it's Seager. The books have just kept him at plus 300 all day, which, like, I admit 300 is a little bit short for a home run prop, but they've kept him there all day. FanDuel has him at 300. Every other book has him below that at like plus 260, plus 250. And like, I mean, this is like the most square home run pick you can ever have, but everything just lines up for him. Like, Cutter Crawford's been terrible against lefties on the year and over his last 10 starts. Seager has been on fire over the past 2 weeks. He's got 7 home runs over the past 2 weeks, second most in the MLB, only Jake Berger ahead of him. Second most hard hit line drive and fly balls as well. Again, only Jake Berger ahead of him. 5 of the 7 home runs and 15 of the 21 hard hits have come against righties. Crawford throws a four-seam fastball 35% of the time, throws cutters 30% of the time. Seager absolutely crushes both of those pitches on the year and over the past 2 weeks. And I think Seager has 2 home runs off him in like 4 at-bats or something like that. Like, he has crazy numbers against Cutter Crawford specifically. Like, this checks every single box you could possibly look at, which that was the case for Ohtani yesterday, and he came through. So that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to happen. It's just like one of the more square plays you'll see on the board. But it, like I said, it checks every single box. So yeah, 300 for Seager, I think, is totally fine.
Yeah, Seager is 8 for 4 against him with 2 home runs.
8 for 4 is impressive. 8 for 4.
Or 4 for 8, sorry. I was reading it backwards. And then our spreadsheet, 15% barrel rate as well in the pitch mix. So that's a huge, huge barrel rate.
All right, let's move on to the next one. I do have more bets coming, but they're like towards the end of the slate here.
It's a big slate.
Royals Twins. I don't really get this one. They're giving us the Royals at plus 110 with Lugo on the mound. I mean, the Twins were able to get the win yesterday without using any of their high leverage arms, so there's something. But
so here's the deal. Here's the Twins are starting this kid Zebby Matthews. This has come from my uncle. This kid's 6'5", 240. And it has unreal command. He had a 2.9 or 2.6% walk rate with a 30% K rate and with a 1.95 ERA in AA. So he's a very, very high prospect for this Minnesota team. They really, really like him. I'm sure Lindy would back him up. So he's just supposed to be this big gunslinger who's got 6 pitches that can control them all. He doesn't walk guys. I guess it makes me realize there's a reason that this line has moved 30 cents. You could have got the Twins last night at plus 100 if you got this early. So it makes me feel like the Twins are the side. I'm not going to bet it, but this is also going to be the 3rd time the Twins have seen Seth Lugo, which kind of makes me worry about him a little bit. Not to mention the Royals are much worse on the road. They're like a 110 WRC plus team at home. They're like 85 on the road. So it's just really, really bad. So we saw yesterday a Bobby Witt home run, and that was pretty much it from them. So it's just really hard to trust the Royals. So it'd be Twins or pass, but I think that I think we just missed the number.
You had no interest in betting this at all.
Same.
Yeah, in fact, I would lean towards Royals, honestly, now that it's at plus 110, but like, no.
I spent a good 20 minutes making sure I could say something about this game. I felt good.
Yeah, dude, some of them, and I was looking last night, and it was a combination last night, so I had to go back and look through them again this morning with fresh eyes, because last night I was looking fresh off the Giants loss and extras, and I don't usually let losses get me pissed off, because if you do this every day, you're gonna lose bets. What, you can't let it get to you. But that Giants game, it had me I was really upset about that.
I was going to say that I think it was, for me, I ended up making a half a unit yesterday, but losing the Giants and Diamondbacks was just a killer. Regardless, we had closing line value on both. It was just ridiculous. That was just, It was hard to take. That was a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, and so I was looking through these games last night right after the Giants loss, and I couldn't find anything, and I was getting frustrated, and I was like, you know what, maybe like I just started working on football stuff again. Like maybe the reason I'm not finding anything is because I'm like pissed off right now. But then I looked again this morning, went through it all again, and still couldn't find much. So, by the way, I forgot to post this bet on the website. If you're in the Discord, you saw it. We're on Dodgers Brewers now. I did place a bet in this one, and I forgot to post it, so I will add it. Oh shit, I have to go right. I'll figure out a way to get it up there. Let me see if you could still get it because I took a number that might not be available. I got the Brewers team total at 3.5. I paid for it. I got minus 142, I think it was. Let me see what you can get it at now. Gavin Stone's been terrible. And the Brewers at home in Milwaukee. The Brewers have been hitting. The Brewers have been hitting righties. The Dodgers bullpen is taxed. It's gone. Shit. I'd still play the over 4.5 at plus 114 though. So probably if you could put Brewers team total over 4.5 up for me. I got it at 3.5 because I'm the best. No, because I bet it last night and there was a super juice 3.5 available. So I like the Brewers to score runs here. Gavin Stone, oh my God. Talk about like the man has fallen from grace. He was so good on the road for 2.5 months, 3 months of this season. And now his last few starts look terrible. And like I just mentioned, the Brewers, I mean, they're coming back around offensively. They're a top 10 lineup in the last 30 days. They're a top 5 lineup at home, I believe. They're top like 3 or 4 lineup against righties in the last 30 days. All the offensive splits look good here for the Brewers. I mean, the Dodgers just beat them up last night in their home ballpark. Not that I really expect. I mean, Colin Ray's been pretty good too. If I was to pick a side, I would take the Brewers money line, but I felt safer just taking the Brewers to put some runs up.
I thought it was going to be Frankie Montas.
It's Colin Ray, isn't it?
No, it is now. Yeah.
It's right.
I played it doesn't really matter to me. I played the Dodgers team total over 4.5.
Oh shit, you're on the other one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just putting it in the spreadsheet. Oh yeah, we're still good.
Ray has been good though.
Yeah, we're still good though. They still smash his pitch mix. I just feel like this Dodgers team is going to be severely underrated. They started to pick it up against or without Mookie Betts against really good pitching and Nola, Skeens, Mitch Keller. So I trust them to continue to score runs now that Mookie Betts is in the lineup. We saw it again yesterday with 5 yesterday. Yeah, I don't know. I had Frankie Montas. I don't know why I had that in there. But anyway, yeah, it doesn't really change my mind. Montas or him, they still crush his pitch mix. So I'm good either way.
All right, Nodai?
So I have Ohtani in this one. I have another super square, but the matchup was just so good for him. Colin Ray, it's been better recently, but still struggles against lefties. 10 of the 16 home runs this year have been the lefties, 1.43 home run per 9. And Ohtani has literally the best ISO rate against right-handed pitching in the entire MLB. He just went yard yesterday in a good matchup. I think he can easily do so again today. The top 3 pitches that Ray throws, sinkers, cutters, four-seam fastballs. Ohtani crushes all 3 of them. And his best pitch by far is the four-seam fastball, which again, it's 20% of the time. So it's not his most frequent one, but even if you take out the four-seam fastball, again, that's Ohtani's best pitch by far. He has a 40% barrel ISO rate, 10% barrel rate, 62.5% hard hit rate against sinkers and cutters from righties over the past month. So even his 2 pitches that he's not as good against, he still crushes. So I have Ohtani to hit one. I also used the FanDuel parlay boost on a Jackson home run parlay. I forgot to mention that earlier. So it's Jackson Holiday, Jackson Cheerios, and then I have Jackson Merrill in the Padres game. So I put $10 on that. It's like plus 45,000 odds. So it's 10 to win like $4,000. So bet responsibly. But I just thought that was a fun use of the profit boost.
All right. So Toast actually likes Dodgers team total over or Dodgers Brewers team total over and Ohtani home run.
I just really quickly, I wouldn't play the Dodgers on the side. Their bullpen's taxed as hell.
Yeah. Hence my Brewers team total over. Next up. Yeah. So they know. They heard. Next up, Sauce kind of reminds me of Silent Bob. He said, "Bro, I'm like I never shut the fuck up." Like the opposite of Silent Bob. Yankees, White Sox. Hear me out.
I can't wait. Hold on.
Everyone laughed at me yesterday. Everyone laughed at me. They were making fun of me on the show. All the comments. White Sox, why don't you just burn your money? You all laughed, all of you. And then even the ones in the comments, they're going to pretend like they didn't laugh. I screenshotted it all. I know who was laughing. Who had the last laugh? Do you guys see that meme that was like teams that have lost by 10 plus runs to the White Sox, and it's like all 29 teams that says, of course not, and then it says yes, the Yankees. That was funny. So yeah, I'm on the White Sox here. I bet the money line and the +1.5. Do I like it? No. But what are we doing here? I got it at +250. I got the White Sox +1.5 at +150 last night. Nestor Cortez on the road against a bunch of righties in the White Sox lineup. Look, but by no means am I sitting here saying, hey, the White Sox are going to win this game. But this price is so far off. I mean, and by the way, Jonathan Cannon's looked really good. I'm not saying Jonathan Cannon's about to deal against the Yankees, but he has looked really good. What is it, 3 really nice looking starts in a row, right?
I mean, 4 of 5, really. I mean, the only really bad start that he had was on the road at Kansas City, where he went 6 innings and he gave up 4 runs. But I mean, yeah, he's looked good his last 4 of his last 5 starts. So yeah, I mean, it's not like Nestor has looked good in his last 7 starts once. So not to mention the fact that he's not even going deep into games. And even if the Yankees bullpen is rested and ready to go, which they are, like they still don't really scare me that much. Like, Clay Holmes is just absolutely terrible at times. I mean, it's just, there's so many opportunities for the White Sox to score here. So I didn't get my 2.5 like I did yesterday. So my lean would be White Sox first 5 team total over 1.5. It's at -105 on ESPN, -120 on DK. But yeah, I just, they've already seen Nestor once this year. I know that Nestor pitched well, but that was at home. So again, it's just really hard to trust Nestor in these spots. So yeah, it's White Sox or pass for me.
And you know how, guys, in the baseball season, we see this happen several times. Like Oakland does it once or twice a year. Where last year, we'll talk about last year. Oakland was the worst team in the league by far. Then all of a sudden, they won like 11 out of 12. And then when 10 games into that, you're like, shit, I wish I had jumped onto that. Like the second game of that. I mean, it's not crazy to think the worst team in the league would win 6 out of 7. It happens. So maybe the White Sox are about to win a few. Look, it's a crazy price. It is what it is.
There's just no reason to bet the Yankees. Like if there's their only way to bet, I mean, at -1.5, it's plus or -180. I mean, the only way to bet them is the only way to bet their team total. So you bet
even that is like crazy.
It's 5.5 at 135 average, whatever. But my point being, don't pay -180 to lay -1.5. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
Modi?
Yeah, to back up your point, I forget the exact stat, but there's like a system where like if you bet one of the worst teams in the MLB after a win, it's like has a really high hit rate because nobody ever bets it because they don't think, oh, there's no way this team is going to lose 2 in a row, or this bad team is going to win 2 in a row. So I think it's like underdog money line plus 200 or above if they win. Like their next game is also a really high hit rate, something like that. I forget the exact number, but there was some system.
It would be really, really profitable, probably not necessarily a high hit rate, right?
Yeah, sorry, yes, not a high hit rate. It's profitable. You're right. Those are 2 different things. Because yeah, I mean you're getting plus 240, so like you win. I don't know, like you win a third of your bets and you're profiting from that. Anyways, I have another super chalky one. It's Juan Soto. Like he was just tattooing the ball and was just consistently hitting doubles. He finally seems like he broke out of that. He had 2 home runs on Sunday. Jonathan Cannon gets hit up by lefties, home run per 9, 1.69 against lefties. And Soto, like I said, finally came out of the slump when he had 2 home runs on Sunday. He's got a really, really good numbers against Jonathan Cannon's pitch mix over the last month. Now, admittedly, a lot of the work in the last month is being done like in weeks like 3 and 4, not necessarily in the past 2 weeks, but I think like there's enough of a sample size with Soto that we know he's really good. So I'm fine looking at the past month, and that being a good sample size is enough for me. So yeah, a lot of really chalky ones today. Is just like kind of how it was, and Soto was one of them. But the last chalk play that I have for Dong today.
All right, Juan Soto home run, next game. We're back. Blue Jays, Angels. I didn't look at this game, didn't glance at it, didn't care about it. I kind of want to take the Angels to beat Gosman at the price, though. But no, I didn't even look at the game. Either you guys want to go?
I paired Blue Jays first 5 money line and Padres first 5 money line together. It was like plus 155. So Blue Jays have been scoring runs. I don't want to have anything to do with their bullpen. I agree with you, Kyle, that full game I would pick the Angels as well. But I do think that Blue Jays have a pretty significant advantage through the first 5 with Kevin Gausman and their bats against Carson Fulmer. So that's how I did that. I played it for a half a unit, nothing crazy, but he's dominated. Kevin Gausman has dominated this lineup, and he's been pretty dominant on the road as well, coming off a bad road start against the Yankees. I assume he gets right here today. So I hate to have the Toronto bullpen blow it for him, and they used a couple guys yesterday. So yeah, first 5, hit them in the Padres. Someone
said, I'm still waiting to find a guy who bets 162 games on a team to where the seasonal ROI is relevant to anyone. I mean, it just shows you how the market has valued that team over the course of the season. And with that logic, you could say that about literally every single stat. You could say that about the team's records. Like, why do we even talk about records? I was just about to say, like, if you're that about that stat, how is any other stat? That applies to every single stat ever. All right,
that's just, what a dumb criticism. That's an incredibly helpful.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Anyways, I have Gausman over 18.5 outs, plus 110 odds at Bet365. This is one of my favorite plays of the day. I feel like Gausman hasn't been, like, it's been a career down year for him in a lot of different stats, but he's been better recently, and he should really pitch well against the Angels. Like, Gausman throws gas. He throws a four-seam fastball 57% of the time. The Angels are terrible against the four-seam fastball. Like, I wanted to find a home run prop for the Angels because I know Gausman can give them up. Nobody on their team is good against the fastball. Third worst barrel rate over the past month against four-seam fastballs, 3.66%. Fifth worst batting average, again, from four-seam fastballs. They're batting 199 over the past month. On the year, they have the 6th worst WRC plus against right-handed pitching. They're with the 5th lowest team batting average. They've been really bad. And Gausman, like, even if he gets hit up, they let him pitch deep into the game. Like, in his last 10 starts, he's averaging about 101 pitches per start, and he's gone over 18.5 outs in 4 of his last 5. So he is pitching a little bit better recently. Like, you're always paying plus money if you're getting over 18.5 outs because they have to pitch into the 7th inning. But this, like I said, this is one of my favorite plays of the day. I put a full unit on this one.
Kevin Gausman over 18.5 outs, one of your favorite plays of the day.
Hell yeah.
Well, all right. And he gives a thumbs up.
I forgot that it does it on the screen.
You've got a Mac. Next up.
Yeah.
The Pirates.
You're like the guy from Dodgeball.
All I can hear is, I hate my bets.
I do hate them. And I have one in this game.
I know. That's why I laugh.
And I hate it. What am I missing here? Why was I able to get plus 210? What, the Pirates are the White Sox all of a sudden because they lost a few games? They were in the playoff hunt a week ago.
I mean, they're 6-14 their last 20. It's about a few. But
all right, sweet. Bet the Padres then.
Like I said earlier, I bet them with the Jays in the first 5 at a big plus price because I thought the pitching advantage was significant, and I thought that Michael King should bounce back after a pretty bad start against this team his last time out. So, yeah, the Padres are a much better team. Yeah, that's what I did. I didn't want to deal with the Padres bullpen because it's a little bit on the tax side. I do agree with you at this price, at the full game. If there's a game to win, this would be the time to do it for them. But yeah, like I said, I played those 2 in the first 5 because I didn't want to deal with the Padres bullpen, which I'm sure Kyle will talk about.
Modi.
Yeah, I already mentioned I have Jackson Merrill. I put him in that parlay. I also took him straight up. He's been on fire, and you're getting it was plus 680. I think it's come down a little bit, but you're still getting a really, really good price on him. Let me check that real quick if my computer will load. So yeah, Jackson Merrill plus 575. So it did come down, but yeah, I mean, he's been phenomenal. I put a quarter unit on him straight up, along with putting him in the round robin. So he has tied with Jackson Holiday for the second most balls launched over the last 2 weeks. Again, 100 miles per hour off the bat in a 20 to 40 degree launch angle. Crushed right-handed pitching over the last 2 weeks. 19.35% barrel rate, 50% hard hit rate, .516 ISO rate against righties. And Luis L. Ortiz has really struggled against lefties, especially since he was made a full-time starter. Like before, he was just like a middle reliever, is my guess, just looking at his game log. Since June 8th, he's been a full-time starter, and he's allowed a home run per nine of 2.10 against left-handed hitters, which would be among the worst in the league. And Merrill also specifically crushes Ortiz's pitch mix, four-seam fastballs, sliders, and cutters. Merrill's crushed all three of those individually, and when you add them together, it's a 25% barrel rate, 55% hard hit rate, and 563 ISO rate over the last 2 weeks. And it's still really good over the last month as well, so it's not like he's just been hot for 2 weeks. So yeah, the price came down to plus 575. I would still play it there, and I would still put a quarter unit on it straight up.
So Jackson Merrill is second in balls launched, did you say?
Over the last 2 weeks.
All right. So Pirates. No. Hey. All right.
Bring it back.
So I'm on the Pirates, and I also took them at plus 1.5. This price is a little crazy to me. I feel like I have the starting pitching advantage too. I don't really get it. Maybe I'm Toast is upset about something.
No, I'm not. Very excited. I'll talk to it about it 1 second. Go ahead.
The Padres bullpen is dicked as well. I mean, I feel like I have the starting pitching advantage and the bullpen advantage because of the shape that the Padres bullpen is in. So I got it at plus 210, and then I got the plus 1.5 and plus 100. I split my money in half on this one. It felt like a no-brainer. I understand that they're 6-14 in their last 20. I understand, but got to play it at this price. I think they can steal this one. I'm on the Bucks, and I didn't consider that Jackson Merrill is second in balls launched. I didn't consider that.
I'm not arguing with you that the Padres are going to win straight up. I just need a guy to hit a home run.
Yeah, I mean, he's second in balls launched. I mean, you can't argue with a stat like that. So let's go on to the next
funny
game.
Because speaking of second, he's now second in the National League Rookie of the Year race at plus 125. His odds have dropped almost 1,000 points. I have almost 8,000 points CLV on Jackson Merrill Rookie of the Year. What a day today. What a day. Go ahead, next game. What a day.
Are balls launched considered in the Rookie of the Year?
So yes.
You could also call it a piss missile if that makes you enjoy the stat more.
No, I don't say that.
You don't say that.
It's a good stat. I don't even understand.
100 mile per hour off the bat between 20 and 40 degree launch angle. That's like a home run 99% of the time.
Right. That's a launch ball.
Yeah. I don't know how else to describe it. Or a missile that has been pissed.
Rockies, Diamondbacks, another team that just really let me down last night. I had the Diamondbacks minus 1.5, and then they came back and took the lead, and everyone celebrated in the Discord except me because I laid the 1.5.
I said, "Don't." I'm right here with you, brother.
I mean, I think Arizona should hit the shit out of Gomber, but you know what? They didn't really get to Cal. Oh no, it wasn't Cal Quantrill. It was a AAA arm. They didn't really get to him much yesterday. So I don't know. It would only be Arizona for me here, but I didn't touch it.
Yeah. It would be Rockies or pass for me. I can't trust Rodriguez coming off of. I mean, I really don't know what to expect from him. I know he looked somewhat decent, I guess, in Cleveland. He gave up 3 runs in 5 2/3. But I just don't really know what to trust of him. And again, I don't trust this Arizona bullpen much at all. Everybody's available, but at the same time, maybe this is just a really, really bad spot for Arizona this whole series, coming off of a 4-game set against Philadelphia and a 3-game set against Cleveland as well. So I don't know. I got to see something from the Arizona side before I lay minus 1.5 with them. So Rockies are fast.
Someone in the comments says, "You may have CLV, but do you have a Charmander Funko Pop?"
I saw one comment I screenshot. It said, "What are those dolls behind Modai?"
You have CLV on your bet, but do you have a Charmander? I'm still in the box.
Important. It's important. Yeah, unboxed.
All right, Modai, what do you like here?
I pass on this one. I wanted to take Ketel Marte to hit a home run because he's annihilated Gomber, but I'm pretty sure he's not playing. The books don't have odds out for him. So
there's no way he's playing.
Yeah. So I got nothing.
Nothing. What's up next? What's up next? Braves, Giants, San Francisco. This game, man. This game. I think Charlie Morton should pitch well. And my only evidence of that is I have such a loathing for the San Francisco Giants bats right now. Yo, I couldn't believe what I was watching. I sat there and honestly, like, I remained hopeful the entire game. 8th inning, 0-0. I was like, in my head, I was like, we're good. We're good. We got this. Even when the Braves scored 1 in the 10th inning, in the bottom of the 10th, I still wasn't worried. I was like, no, we got this. There's no way that the Giants are this bad. And then they just strike out. I think they struck out the side in the bottom of the 10th or something. It was no. The guy grounded out. So there was 2 strikeouts in there. Unreal. So I guess Braves. I don't know. Don't even put it up. I have nothing.
I bet the Giants again. I had to. I think that Kyle Harrison's been pitching pretty damn well. He had a blow up in Cincinnati. But anytime you have a blow up in Cincinnati and or Colorado, I can give you a little bit of a pass for that, just because of the ballpark, and he never really pitches bad in Colorado. So it only makes sense that he can pitch bad in Cincinnati. But my point being, he gets a pass for that. His only other bad start in his last 7 starts was on the road in Cleveland, and at the time, Cleveland was annihilating everybody they saw. So it's really hard for me to believe that Kyle Harrison doesn't pitch well against this Braves lineup, who, again, they won yesterday, but they also only scored 1 run in 10 innings as well. And so with the fact that Charlie Morton, we've already seen Charlie Morton, we, as in the Giants side, has already seen Charlie Morton once this year. They put 4 runs against him, and Charlie Morton was at home. I think Charlie Morton's been absolutely terrible. 6 of his last 7 starts. His only 1 good start was against St. Louis. Besides that, Miami was somewhat decent, but he's just been absolutely terrible. So the Giants have been extremely much better at home this year than on the road. If they lose 2 in a row, like I always say, so be it. But I think the Giants have multiple advantages in this game.
Modi?
I sent over to you lean Giants. I don't really have anything better to say than toast. The Charlie Morton guy is like 90 years old, and I think his pitching has passed him by. So I like Kyle Harrison. I think he's got some decent least. It's like I said, I wrote lean Giants.
Did you guys not watch the Giants bats last night?
I watched them last night. I also just wanted to point out that
you were pleased with it, with what you saw?
I wasn't pleased, but I'm going to go with the Giants, who are almost 10 games over 500. They're 10 games under 500 on the road. They're that much better at home. If it happens 2 nights in a row against Charlie Morton and a Braves bullpen that doesn't have their top 2 arms, okay, I'll take my chances.
I won't. Modi, did you say we're going to do the community parlay? Did you say you had the bounce, Modi?
I'm good. No, I'm good.
Okay, hit the song.
Community parlay, the parlay we bet, yeah. Community parlay is for the community. We come unite, making a parlay. Yeah.
All right, let's get to voting. Let me know when you're ready, Prop Beaver, for the polls. Orioles money line. Tigers money line. Reds money line. Phillies money line. Cast your votes, and while they're voting, Matthew, would you like to tell them where they can find your stuff if they found you compelling?
Yes. If you found my stuff compelling, you can find me at my Twitter handle. You see on the screen here at Jedi Modi. I'll post articles that I write for Newsweek, or I'll post YouTube videos that I post. That was a nice, well-crafted sentence. So anything that you need, you can find on Twitter. So I would just go check me out there. The Dong Master is what the people call me.
Yeah, proclaimed by himself and others, the Dong Master. Now, question: does Newsweek publish the word "dong" in your articles?
No, I don't say "dong" in the Newsweek articles. No. It's a good question. It's a fair question.
The editor probably gets Modi's articles and he's like, dude, we can't. No.
He does control find the word dong. He's like, there's 13 instances of dong in this article. We can't publish this.
Find a replace with dinger.
Yeah. So for whatever reason, all you can dong buffet doesn't slide with Newsweek's editorial guidelines.
Man, they need to raise the bar.
Yeah, I totally agree.
All right.
Hold on. Do you use Dinger?
I'll say go yard, hit a home run.
I was just curious. I just didn't know where the line was. That's all.
It doesn't hit the same.
I totally agree. Yeah, I agree.
So next up, Cleveland Guardians money line, Astros money line, Mets money line, Red Sox money line.
So it was Orioles, right? First leg.
Orioles with the first leg. Someone said gun to my head, who am I taking, Atlanta or San Francisco? Honestly, gun to my head, I would probably just bet the under. It's 8.5. I realized that yesterday was Snell versus Sale, but the Braves have terrible numbers against lefties, so I don't think it's what Toast said about Kyle Harrison pitching well is crazy. I think he might pitch well. And then on the other side, it's the Giants lineup, which is just offensive by all meanings of the word.
You know, like Tyler Fitzgerald?
No, I don't like them all. I don't like T-Fits. Twins money line, Dodgers money line, White Sox money line won that poll, by the way. I don't know if you guys saw. White Sox money line won that poll, and Blue Jays money line.
That would make the community parlay with some juicy odds if we added White Sox.
Yeah, that would be wild if White Sox wins the poll.
Yeah.
If anybody's looking for a sneaky total base prop tonight, Randall Grichuk from the Diamondbacks over 1.5 total bases.
What's so sneaky about it?
That nobody's going to play Randall Grichuk.
I feel like he's not that unowned. He's not that deep of a cut.
No, but he's getting his 10-year service time tonight. He also crushes the Pitts mix, has a 9% barrel rate and almost like a 400 WOBA against Austin Gomber pitch mix. Hits lefties well. Over 1.5 total bases should be a nice plus price.
Next up for the polls, we got Padres money line because no one liked my Pirates bet. Diamondbacks money line, and who won that? Oh, let me scroll up. Who won, Braves or Giants won the poll? And then put for second place, put the Reds because a lot of people voted for the Reds. All right, cast your votes. Cast your votes.
The Reds might be my favorite play today.
Ugh. Pirates are a great. Pirates are a great bet.
Also, don't bet Seattle anymore. They're sitting Cal and Polanco.
That's a bummer.
This makes you upset?
It's not great, Bob.
Maybe you should try believing. Have you given that a try?
In Seattle?
Yeah,
no.
Maybe if you try believing. The Tigers aren't going to get to Kirby twice in a row. You're good, bro.
Plus 798, Prop Beaver.
Plus 798.
More than I think I'm going to lose. It's just the fact that this is what you have to deal with when you bet the Mariners, and it's just absolutely ridiculous.
All right, so the community parlay: Orioles money line, Astros money line, Dodgers money line, and Reds money line plus 798 or whatever it was. Let's go ahead and move on to what's next, Prop Beaver? Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City.
That team any good?
What's up?
So that team any good? Chiefs, they won anything recently?
You got to stay tuned to find out. We're going to have to break it down.
All right.
Later.
See you, fellas.
Someone said Charles was spamming the polls from all his Gmail accounts to make sure White Sox got in the community parlay. And let's bring on Beaver and Winky. Oh, let me unmute your mics because I don't like you guys having access to the mics while I'm doing baseball.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks.
You should be good now.
Andy, did you not make Chiefs pick graphics?
It's all right. I mean, Chiefs over wins, Chiefs under wins. You can whatever.
He's just
you don't even have to type Chiefs. You can just do over wins, under wins. Is Andy coming on the screen?
When I decide.
All right, Kansas City, Super Bowl champions, as I'm sure you're aware. This is probably one of the easier breakdowns to do. I mean, we pretty much know what to expect from the Chiefs from this point. As far as strengths, I mean, it pretty much goes without saying. We know what they are. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, the most unsung hero on the Chiefs organization is Steve Spagnuolo. Doesn't matter what pieces they lose on defense come playoff time, they will be the hottest defense every single year. So Spagnuolo is still there, and there's really not much to not like. So instead of going through the positives, which obviously you guys know what the positives are for the Chiefs. In fact, now with the two receiving weapons, they might even the problem, they had a lack of deep threats last year. There just wasn't many big plays through the air, at least not based on what we're accustomed to seeing from Mahomes over the years. Well, they added. They got Worthy and they got Hollywood Brown, who's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. But still, they even addressed one of their issues, maybe help their numbers getting to man coverage, because Mahomes was actually really. The question is, was last year a fluke for Mahomes? Because Mahomes really struggled against man coverage and he really struggled when pressured. So is that a fluke, or is that who Patrick Mahomes is without Tyreek Hill?
Doesn't matter. That's a question. Because if that's who Patrick Mahomes is and he's still winning Super Bowls, then at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Because Patrick Mahomes last season, if you look at the numbers statistically, I mean, they weren't even that good. Let me try and pull them up real quick. I don't know if I could actually pull them up on the screen, but I could try and read off some of these ranks to you guys. And they were pretty pedestrian, especially in terms of what Mahomes is putting out in terms of career output. Let me try and get them for you guys real quick. Come on, where are they? Okay, yeah. So 2022, this is a guy who's second in PFF grade, first in pass rate, second yards per attempt, fifth in big time throw rate, fourth in turnover worthy play rate, second in passer rating. Now we're looking at 2023. Those ranks are falling to 10th, 8th, 19th, 20th, 19th, 14th. This is not a guy who is somebody would think of as a top 5 quarterback. That's somebody who somebody would think of as a top 15 quarterback, not a Super Bowl MVP, a top 15 quarterback. So for Mahomes to not have even performed like a top 5 quarterback last year, and for them to have been 5th in pass DVOA, for them to have had 35 drops, for them to have had 9 wide receiver fumbles, for Kadarius Toney to have essentially cost them a game against the Buffalo Bills by lining up offsides or whatever that was, with Travis Kelce not getting that touchdown, whatever that thing was. It just shows that whatever obstacles go against this Chiefs team, they just somehow pull this bullshit off. It's absurd. So yeah, it's weird. You just can't doubt the Chiefs at this point. It sucks. It's like he's like the Tony Stark of the NFL MCU. So yeah.
He's the Tony Stark?
Patrick Mahomes is the Tony Stark of the NFL MCU, and just everything just keeps going his way.
Why?
He's right. No, I think he's right.
Yeah.
How is he Tony Stark? Tony Stark wins Super Bowls? Where's the metaphor there?
Motherfucker just keeps collecting the Infinity Stones.
What?
Yeah.
You do know that's how he died, right?
Yeah, but like his presence throughout the movies isn't collecting Infinity Stones. That's like one part. Whatever. This is stupid.
Dude, just let me have this.
I don't like that metaphor at all. Tony Stark. So, all right. I think we can all come to the consensus agreement that the Chiefs offense will be fine, even though we just saw Patrick Mahomes have probably the worst season of his career. I mean, he was, like Prop Beaver said, a below average quarterback when pressured, a below average quarterback against man coverage. And what did that result in? Still won the Super Bowl. So the Chiefs offense is going to be fine. They added a couple deep weapons. They lost the left tackle, but they drafted one who should be at least formidable there at left tackle. I forget what's his name. I have it right here.
Kingsley Suamataia.
Suamataia at left tackle. So the spot on the offensive line they lost, they drafted a guy to take that spot. So the offense will be fine. I think there's definitely ways to poke holes in the defense, but we kind of have the same discussion. Doesn't matter because Spagnuolo will figure it out. Chiefs defense overperformed in a major way last year. This was a top 5, top 7 defense, and down the stretch at the end of the year was one of the best defenses in football. Really, the strength was the pass rush and Snead, though. And Snead is no longer there. And we were just talking about this. What does how big of a loss is L'Jarius Sneed? Now, they still have McDuffie, so they still have a great corner, but McDuffie's a nickel guy.
Yeah, that's the one thing that's very interesting to me because Sneed is the outside guy. He's the press corner who's going to be on the outside. He could line up against the true number ones. McDuffie is the nickel guy. Now, he can line up outside. Don't get me wrong. McDuffie, he can go on the outside, but is he going to be doing that this season? I'm assuming so, because with Sneed gone, you would hope that he's going to follow those true number one wide receivers. He is more than capable of doing so. He did so in the playoffs against the Tyreek Hills of the world, against those big name wide receivers. So I'm hoping he could do so here this season. But I mean, we need to go ahead and we need to see it for a full season of work. And can he handle that workload? Because if he gets hurt, this is a really scary secondary. I mean, do they have the experience to handle that? Because behind him, I mean, one second, let me go ahead and read some of these names to you guys.
The secondary
audience members, can you guys recognize? Raise your hands in the comments if you know these names. Najee Johnson, Joshua Williams, Jalen Watson. I mean, Jalen Watson, you actually may know. I believe he had a pick 6 against the Chargers on primetime. Kelvin Joseph, you know his name, not for good reasons. He's ass. So it's just not ideal. So yeah.
So basically, I think the defense is in a bit of a spot where if that pass rush for whatever reason isn't top 3 again, there could be a situation, and specifically against WR1s and WR2s on the edge. Because I mean, look, McDuffie in the nickel, I'm sure he's still going to be one of the best nickel corners, and maybe they throw him out on the outside, like you said. But certainly the names aren't there in the secondary to cover some of these guys. But the go to the pass rush numbers. I mean,
right there, first in just sack, 12th in pass rush. I mean, the formula is here to beat this Chiefs defense every single year. The problem every single year is the rush defense is awful. Every single year, 26 adjusted line yard, 22nd rush defense grade.
Yeah, they're a bottom 5, bottom 7 run defense. They were last year as well.
But the problem is the Chiefs offense is so potent that if they get a lead on you quick, it's pretty hard to try and run on them.
Yeah, and the way the way they're able to score points when they need it, they're almost completely cool letting you run down the field and take 3 on them. Yeah, because they're going to get this. They're going to get the touch. They're going to get the ball down the field and score the touchdown when they need to. So they're like, Spagnuolo is almost completely cool. Hey, you want to eat 6 minutes off the clock and take 3? Be my guest. Like, you're just not going to beat us over the top.
Yeah.
But maybe they can get beat over the top this year. Yeah. The run. They didn't really do much to address the run defense. Now Nick Bolton is 1 year the wiser, and he's very, very good in the middle. And
that linebacking core is sick. Leo Chenal.
Tranquil's cool too. Yeah, for sure. They got some linebackers. So where would the weakness? Why are they so bad against the run then? Because you look at their personnel, it's not that bad. I mean, you got Chris Jones. I guess he's more of a pass rusher though. But
he's definitely more of a pass.
But he's a disruptor across the board. Though,
yeah. Right? I mean, let me go ahead and look at the personnel. Let me try and. I mean, Karlaftis, edge rusher, not a run stuffer in any way, shape, or form. Wharton is not anything good when it comes to defending the run. Dana, also, same thing. True edge rusher, not really a run defender. So I think it's honestly due to the construction of their line more than anything. And Tranquil, again, I think he's a guy who is pretty good in the pass game when it comes to a linebacker. But Lord, I know from his Chargers days that he was really bad at defending the run. So I think when it comes to linebackers, their strength is more so defending the pass, not the run. So I think that's just their weakness as a unit. So
yeah. Andy, anything to say?
I mean, you guys covered it all pretty well. There's really not. Usually I'll add like a college guy or like something small in that I think could worry about this team. The only thing I could think of is the one left tackle leaving. Is that going to completely break an O-line that was pretty good blocking for Patrick Mahomes? Other than that, like, I don't see any issues here. You guys say the defense. I mean, the defense wasn't great anyway. I mean, the pass defense was fine. I still think that'll be fine. Yeah, they're going to get run on like crazy, but like you guys said, it's kind of strategy there. They really don't. They're kind of like, all right, you're already going to be down a touchdown or 2 against us, so you're not going to want to run on us. So, yeah, I mean, this team's just built pretty perfectly every year anyway, and Patrick Mahomes makes up for really any faults that their receivers have. I thought when they signed Marquez Valdez-Scantling, they had their deep threat of the future. Clearly, he was not good last year, and I mean, I guess they didn't replace him, but again, I mean, Worthy, I'm very high on. I think he'll be good. He's very fast, but
You see him getting jacked up in the clip. I mean, the social media clip. Who knows? Like they run 500 reps and then one clip will go viral. So like it doesn't mean anything. It was just funny.
He's small. I mean, he's not a big guy. I mean, the reason he's so fast, he's a tiny guy. He runs quickly. He's not like, I mean, they lost MVS, but MVS wasn't very good. He's like a lot of the guys they lost. Richie James is a small guy. Like he just takes over for those guys, but he's better than those guys. So I like him a lot. From Texas, I knew him. So. Yeah, I mean, I think they did fine. They're the Super Bowl champions. I don't really expect them to be anything less.
Yeah, there's really not much to say because, I mean, it's the same coaching staff. It's the same quarterback. What were the issues they had last year? They dropped a lot of passes. I mean, they added a couple receiving weapons. They were struggled against the run last year. They're probably going to struggle against the run again this year. There's almost not much to say about this team.
I think really there's only one thing there could be said. I think if there is one spot where they could possibly take a step back, it would have to be defensively, right? Because, I mean, I feel like defenses are units where you kind of like plexiglass. They bounce back and forth due to injuries and different additions, subtractions, stuff like that. I mean, they did lose Snead. What is it? We could see some different injury factors and stuff like that. Chiefs were pretty relatively healthy unit last year besides Willie Gay and different stuff like that. And then on top of that, if we're just looking at the defense for the Chiefs in 2022, this was a unit that was 14th in defensive DVOA in 2022. This unit jumped up to 7th in 2023. So maybe they are somewhere in between that, not as good in 2024. But I mean, honestly, still like 10th would be pretty good. So yeah, I don't know. Damn.
So what?
Damn good.
Why don't we play the win-loss game?
All right.
Prop Beaver's favorite game.
It's the best game.
This stupid ass.
Prop Beaver hates this game.
So
yeah, I do hate this
game. I mean, it is like meaningless to an extent because teams lose games that you don't expect them to lose, and they're going to win games you don't expect them to win. So going through it, obviously at the very least you need to take a look at the schedule before placing a future bet anyway. So even though it's meaningless to go through and say win loss, that's meaningless. It's not meaningless to look at the schedule and have an idea of what you're dealing with here. So, all right, here is the schedule. All right. I got them 1-1 after those first two games. Now we can sit here and talk about which of the two they're going to win, but I have them dropping one. I think Cincinnati beats them and they beat Baltimore.
I mean, the Ravens are poopy. We all know that.
Poopy, he said. That's the adjective he used.
On YouTube, he said
on
poopy.
A live stream. So I am 1-1. I honestly could see him dropping one of week 3 and 4 too.
I could too.
You talked me into the Atlanta one before.
I could see them losing on the road in Atlanta, Sunday Night Football. That's like, the Falcons with their new look, that's their Super Bowl right there.
We're going to talk about Atlanta. Atlanta's defense is going
all right. How about this?
So
they lose to the Falcons, beat the Chargers, then beat the piss out of the Saints. Let's roll with that. Okay. 3-2 going into the bye. I could see them beating the 49ers, honestly, but this is probably a loss, I guess. I mean, they're certainly going to be underdogs.
No, I'm rolling with them 4-1 going into the bye. They lose to the Niners.
Okay, so you all right. So
I'm not going to vocalize mine. I'm doing it all mentally.
Oh, he's not going to vocalize it on our live show. He's not going to say it
because
on a live show.
It confuses the viewer.
Words. He's not going to say
because it confuses the viewer. They were doing two vocalized.
They're not kids. They can understand what's going on. All right. At San Francisco, all right, loss. Win Raiders, win Bucks, win Broncos at home. At Buffalo,
they're beating Buffalo.
They will probably beat Buffalo. Win.
They're gonna crush Carolina.
Carolina.
They're gonna lose at least one to the Raiders. They always have a close game with the Raiders.
I have the Chiefs 3-2 after 5 games, but then after the 49ers game, maybe 3-3. But after that game, we're looking at 7 straight wins.
I got them 10-4 with the final 3 on deck.
I could see that exact same thing. If you have them losing to Cleveland, I would have them 10-4 as well.
So
Houston, they'll be at Pittsburgh.
And
I got them. Damn, it's going to come down to whether or not they need those wins at the end. On the road to Denver, if the Broncos are battling for a wild card spot and the Chiefs are sitting with 11 wins.
I have them at 12 or 13, so I'm on the over here.
Andy's on the over.
I think that they'll
I'll go over as
they'll
well.
be the
I'll put them at
typical
12.
Chiefs. They'll lose a game they shouldn't. They're not in there. The football ones are still on my computer at home. Not the NFL ones still on my computer at home. You have the college ones.
No, I have. Oh,
Yeah, I forgot to send the Chiefs one in today. It's at home.
I'm sorry.
Not
These
bad.
kids are rotten.
So I'll put them at 12
Not
wins.
bad.
Give me the over.
I remembered to send the college ones away today.
Oh, okay.
So I know that
You know, there's always a game on the schedule that the
Yeah.
Chiefs will drop that no one's expecting.
the Raiders. It's going to be the
The
Raiders.
Raiders are going to beat
That
them?
Raiders, they did
I
it
think the
last year on
Falcons,
Christmas.
maybe?
Kyle, which one are you on? Are you on the over, Kyle? I'm sorry.
I got the over. Yeah, I got them at 12.
Okay. All right, then we're all in the freaking
This,
over.
I mean, I know the Raiders are worse than they were last year. Probably worse, up and down there. But that's, I think, the next team you have to do too. But yeah, I
That
think
is
that's
the next
the
one we
game
have to
that you circle that I'd worry about for them.
You don't have to worry about getting over up on the screen. They hurt us.
Yeah.
Prop Beaver, what are you on?
I'm on the over.
3 overs.
I don't
am
like
at
it
12.
though.
He didn't
I don't
vocalize
like
it
it
until
though.
now.
I'll tell you though, people, don't bet this. Don't bet this. This defense is shaky. I'm scared about the whole Snead thing. I'm scared.
He's scared
But
about
when
the
you look
Snead
at the
thing.
schedule, like in order for us to hit the under, we have to have them losing games to teams that I just don't see it
I
happening.
mean, I can see
Here's
them
the thing
losing
that
to
I do
Atlanta.
like.
I can see them dropping one of the Chargers games or one of the Raiders games.
but like you could see them doing it. But like
No, we can't.
likely
Because
they're
here's the
not.
thing. Here's the thing. If the Chiefs are going to lose, you got to run them. And I don't really see that many rushing threats on the schedule.
49ers,
Atlanta, yeah.
Bills can run the ball.
Well, I hate to be a prick, but Christian
Pittsburgh?
McCaffrey is getting hurt this season. And if he's hurt in that
That
game,
was a prick thing to say.
well, he is.
And I'm the one that always gets yelled at for rooting for injuries. You
no,
hear
but
this?
he is. So if
August
he's-
13th.
if he's
All
He's
right,
hurt
hurt
next,
in the
next
game.
team. Next team, yo. I got a birthday dinner at 6.
All right. See you guys later.
First show. Virginia.
For show of the day.
Cavs. All right. Virginia Cavaliers. A lot to be excited here if you're a Cavs fan. Head coach Tony Elliott back for his 3rd season. He's 6-16 with Virginia during his tenure. The one season was cut short because they had that shooting. That's why the math doesn't add up on that 6-16. So he's 6-16 with his tenure with the team. This will be his 3rd year. By far the best team he's had, though, since he took this job. This will be a true test of what direction Tony Elliott's taking this program. He's got both of his coordinators back. A ton of returning production here. 6th in the FBS in returning production. 16 returning starters for Virginia. Both quarterbacks are back, even though I'm pretty sure Calandria is going to be the starter, right?
Yeah, I mean that's like the one part of the team where I think it could be.
I like them both, honestly. The other kid's from Monmouth. Did you know that?
This is the way that like I looked at it. This is a program who is horrible at football, and the fact that there's even like a quarterback competition is great for this team. The days of Grayson Lambert sitting there and throwing for like 2,000 yards and like 11 interceptions a year, that's over. Like they actually have a competition at quarterback. That's how you know Virginia's a different team this year.
Yeah, and I'm like I said, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Calandria. I think he showed a little bit more last year, but if he, for whatever reason, gets hurt, Musket can play too. So like they're good at quarterback. They did lose their leading rusher, Paris Jones, but he only had 393 yards on the ground last year. The kid that's taken over as RB1 is named Kobe Pace, and I mean he got 125 carries last year. They're good at running back, even though they lost their leading rusher. They did lose their star wide receiver though, Malik Washington, 1,400 yards for the Cavs last year. He was a 6th round pick on the Dolphins. You know that? He's on the Dolphins? I didn't know that until today when I looked. So Malik Washington's on the Dolphins now. But here's the thing. They added a few transfers at wide receiver. They got a kid, Chris Tyree Sr. from Notre Dame, who they like a lot. They also added 2 other transfers. So even though they lost their star receiver, plenty of weapons for Calandria to throw to here. And here it is. All 5 starters back on the offensive line for Virginia. All 5 starters on the offensive line. That's huge. So not really much to not like about this Virginia offense. There were times where it looked flat, but last year the offense was pretty good last year, and they pretty much brought everyone back. So Cavs offense, thumbs up.
Yeah, I like it. What you said with the O-line, they were really good run blocking last year. I think they're not going to get worse there, and I think they'll be better pass blocking too. They have to be. They were really bad at that last year, but I think they'll be fine. Quarterback also, can't say his last name, but the guy that you think is going to start runs better. Calandria. Yeah, he runs better than Musket for sure.
Yeah,
so, he can move and scramble. So
really
if they do have trouble there, they'll be fine. And Malachi Fields, the 800-yard receiver, he returns as well. So.
He's their wide receiver too? Fields?
Yeah, he was their wide receiver. They had a lot of. I didn't realize they had like they had two really good receivers last year for this team, which I guess shows on the quarterbacks too. So yeah, they're returning a lot here, and they needed it. This coaching staff needed it badly. So to have that offense back, I think this is a team that'll probably be carried by their offense, but it's going to be a really good unit.
Yeah, the defense doesn't look quite as good, although they are bringing back a lot of production.
Mm-hmm.
They only lost one starter on the defensive line. Everyone else is back on the D-line, including their two best pieces, or arguably their two best pieces. Carter and Bennett are their names, both back on the defensive line. Their top two linebackers are back. They did lose one of their starting linebackers from last year, but they brought in a transfer from Clemson, and they brought in another kid from Cincinnati. So two transfers in. Linebackers should be solid. Secondary is a little questionable. They lost two of their main DBs from last year, but their main guy, he led the team in tackles. He was first team all conference last year. His name's Jonas Sanker. I believe he's a safety. He is back. So he's back, even though they lost two of their other main pieces in the secondary. And they brought in a transfer from Eastern Michigan who was a starter in the MAC last year. So secondary probably takes a small step backwards. But other than that, here's the thing. The defense, I'd say a small step forward from last year, but last year the defense wasn't good at all. So a small step forward from what?
Yeah. This team got ran on like crazy last year, and I think that'll improve. Maybe it has to improve. They were 120th in yards per carry. I mean, you can't get much worse than that. But and the linebacker they brought in from Clemson. If you bring in a transfer from Clemson, I trust that player is very good, because linebackers from Clemson, they recruit those guys. Those guys are usually great. So I think this guy just wasn't getting the playing time. He wasn't playing much at all. So I think a clearly untapped talent there that didn't get the playing time. So I think he'll be good. I think the transfer from Eastern Michigan brings experience. That's big. Really, all you could say is much like their offense, they have a lot of experience on defense, but they have to perform better. I mean, they literally were getting run on like crazy. And in this conference, you don't want to go up against Cal or Syracuse or some of these teams with great running backs and get run all over, because they will kill you.
So let's go to the schedule.
They don't play either of those teams, but there are still really good running backs there.
Cavaliers schedule. What the heck?
What a tougher non-conference than maybe they're used to.
Hold on 1 second. For some reason, it brought up the basketball schedule. I was like, what the hell? All right, here we go. Obviously, win against Richmond at Wake Forest. They could win that.
Yeah, very winnable. The first two are very winnable.
Maryland, they can win that too.
Yeah, Maryland's a wild card. I haven't looked at them yet, but they have Billy Edwards, a quarterback they're very high on, but he's young, so I don't really love that team. They're too young, so I think they could win that.
I think they're 5-0, honestly.
I don't know if they're.
Boston College they'll probably be.
No, it's going to Coastal that scares me.
They'll beat Coastal.
That's a tough place to play, dude.
They'll beat Coastal.
Okay, you got them 5-0. I'm gonna go 4-1.
No, I'll say 4-1. They'll drop one of those games. Maybe exactly. Maryland, maybe Boston College. Louisville lost, Clemson lost, North Carolina lost at Pittsburgh. That's probably Narduzzi in November in Pittsburgh.
It gets really ugly. That's why it is. I mean, the later part after October.
Holy shit! So if you're betting the over 4.5, you better hope they have 5 early, because holy shit. You could argue they're losing the last 7 games of the year.
I don't think it's really that much of an argument. They're going to be heavily.
Maybe
they're going to be heavily.
I'm going over because I could see.
I would lean over too, honestly, and I don't even think that, because of the first 5 games, and that really the only game I think that they could lose is Maryland or Coastal, but those are still very winnable. So yeah, I go over as well.
I honestly think 6 is the ceiling, 4 is the floor, which points me to an over here, over 4.5. If
they win 6 games, they should be doing backflips, all of them, because that means they upset somebody they should not be beating.
Next team,
maybe UNC. That's a tough one.
Next team up, Virginia Tech, another team that has a lot to be excited about, maybe even more so than Virginia. So head coach Brent Pry is back for his 3rd season. Last year, the team jumped from 3 wins to 7 wins. They won the Military Bowl. They beat up on Tulane in that game. Same coordinating staff, ton of production back, just like Virginia. 4th in the country in returning production, 21 returning starters. 21 returning starters for Virginia Tech. Kyron Drones is back. And you make an argument that this kid's right up there with Cam Ward, DJU, Grayson McCall, best quarterbacks in the conference. I mean, he is so good. 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions last year. He also rushed for over 800 yards and 8 touchdowns. I mean, this kid can play. Kyron Drones. And I mean, this is a kid that is in NFL discussions for sure. So they got a stud at quarterback. Both running backs are back. 4 of the top 5 receivers are back, including Taquan Felton, who led the team in both receiving yards and touchdowns. All 5 offensive linemen are back for these guys as well. So just like Virginia, they return all 5 offensive linemen. So this is what we just said about Virginia. You can kind of copy and paste it, only with more talent. This team is loaded. This offense is loaded. Agreed?
Yeah, 100%. They also added an O-line transfer from another ACC school. That's adding depth to your team. I mean, having interchangeable alignments huge too. So yeah, I mean, there's not much you could say about this offense is going to be.
I'm pretty sure
elite.
that 10 of the 11 the only starter that isn't back is the tight end. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, loaded.
Yeah, that's a very loaded offense, and really all around they were a pretty good team. I think they've gotten hurt in the last few years with having a tough non-conference. I'm not sure if that happened this year, but yeah, this is a really good offense.
On the defensive side of the ball, it doesn't look quite as good, but still a lot to be excited for. A lot to be excited for here if you're a Virginia Tech fan. They did lose a few pieces on the defensive line, a couple key pieces, but 5 of their top 8 defensive linemen are back. So majority of the production they were getting on the defensive line is back again this year. All 3 linebackers are back, and pretty much all of their DBs are back. They even got a couple back from injury. So the defensive line may be a little bit a question mark on the defensive line, but as far as the linebackers in the secondary, they should be good. There's not really, as far as what they're bringing back onto the field this year from last year, there's nothing to be upset about here. They're loaded.
Yeah, this team was the basic way to look at this team is last year they were a shade worse against the run. They were pretty good against the pass. Secondary was really good. Multiple power forward transfers in a very deep defensive line, so they have a very high expectation that their run numbers, which weren't great last year, will improve this year with new guys, and a lot of the guys that were struggling maybe a year in the system again will be good. Linebacking core, like you said, they added a very high regard transfer from Middle Tennessee, so this is a very good unit as well. Like you said, the secondary was really good last year, but they lost a lot. They have a corner, Jalen Stroman, who's going to be in the NFL one day. He's very good. And Strong was their top corner last year. He's also back, but yeah, they did lose the depth at that spot, so that could be a little bit worse. I don't think they'll be able to replicate being 4th in yards per attempt last year as a pass defense, but if they're still within the top 30, then this will be a really good defense. And obviously we talked about the offense being as good as it is. I think this team mixes really well. Yeah,
if Kyron Drones is able to take a step forward, developing as a passer, this offense could be like top 10, top 15 in the country, really. I mean, rushing, this was probably a top 25 rushing offense last year, 17th in yards per carry, 11th in effective rush. Passing numbers were down a little bit despite having a talented quarterback. So if Kyron Drones is able to develop a little bit as a passer, they could be a problem. Let's go ahead and play the win-loss game, AJ's favorite game.
I like the non-conference a little bit easier this year than it was last year.
So can they go into Vandy and beat the commies? I think they can.
Yeah, they're gonna deck them. I'll bring the decking out. They're gonna win that game by 20.
What's the line on that?
I
want to know.
Lord knows what the line is.
I want to know.
13.5. I'm taking that. That Vanderbilt team. I know it's gonna be Pavia's first,
but they should win comfortably.
It's gonna be Pavia's first game there, but I think they're gonna crush them. Drones might run for 200 yards in that game.
All right, that's a win. Marshall, win. Old Dominion, win. Home Rutgers, win. At Miami,
they're 4-1. They're losing the Miami game. Cam Ward will have a really good game in that one.
And then they beat Stanford.
Yeah, weird travel, but they'll win that one. And then they get a bye. They get a couple days off after the travel.
They'll beat Boston College at home after the bye.
Yeah, so
that's one loss so far. 6-1. Home Georgia Tech is tough, but I think they win.
They win that one, 7-1. I already bet this. I didn't know. I told you the other day. I bet this one at over 8.5.
They can win 10.
I think that they could
over.
They will find themselves in a spot where they can make the ACC championship. Them, SMU, Miami, Clemson are probably my top 4. I think those teams will have the best shot. This team will have, because of their schedule, sets up perfectly where if they just win one of those last 2 games against Duke or Virginia, I think they're going to be a 9-10 win team that very easily can get in the ACC championship.
Agreed. Next. What's up, Prop Beaver? Welcome back. All right, let's talk Daboville.
Oh boy.
Now this is going to be quite an interesting discussion here. It's going to come down to whether or not you believe in Dabo Swinney or not, because obviously Dabo Swinney very famously anti-transfer portal, does not partake in it.
Yeah.
So is he able to keep up with competing programs? Now, Kirby Smart isn't a big transfer portal guy either.
No, but he knows the spots where you need to get.
Exactly. You can't just completely ignore it, or at least we'll see.
Mhm.
So Dabo Swinney back for his 16th season as head coach. Last year was actually the first time since 2010 that Clemson failed to win 10 football games. So we're talking first time in 14 years that the Clemson didn't reach 10 wins. That Clemson didn't reach 10 wins last year. They finished 9-4. Same coordinating staff beneath Swinney here. Ton of production back, which is a good thing. 33rd in returning production in the country. 14 returning starters, 9 on offense. So a ton of the offense back. Problem is, offense wasn't very good last year. And we'll start with Cade Klubnik. He's back at quarterback. Definitely a disappointing season for him. Now, to be fair to Cade Klubnik, the bar is set pretty high to be Clemson's next guy up. I mean, what Deshaun Watson, then we saw Trevor Lawrence. I mean, when you're the next guy up at Clemson, it's like, hey, are you going to be a top 3 pick in the NFL draft? No, we hate you then. The bar set pretty high for Klubnik here.
Kind of like McCord last year. I thought he was going to transfer just because I think there's such high expectations at Clemson, but I think Dabo kind of begged them to stay because they didn't have much waiting in the wings for him either. So this is
right. Like
they didn't have anything waiting. I think he has to be better. I mean, he was really bad last year.
Look at DJU. They ran him out of town.
They ran him out of town. He went to Oregon State.
The consensus in college football was like DJU sucks. And then he went to Oregon State and had a great season.
Yeah, he was really good. DJU, I mean, I think, we're going to talk about them, I think, tomorrow. But there's some holes in what he did at Oregon State, too.
Of course.
He was good. But I think Klubnik is one of those. He's like Drew Aller at Penn State. We're going to get to them. They have to be better than what they were because I think their expectations were so high that there's no way they're as bad as they were. Everybody can't be wrong about them. So I think they'll be better. Klubnik will be better. I'm actually a little bit more worried about the running backs because they lost Shipley.
I like the running back.
Shipley's gone, and we did see, I don't know how to say it. I think it's Mafa.
Mafa. Oh, I was saying Mafa. I think it's Mafa.
I think that'll go down a little bit, the run offense with that. But
I disagree.
Okay.
So, all right. So if you're unfamiliar with what we're talking about, their star running back, Will Shipley, is on the Eagles now. I think he was a 4th round pick. So he's in the NFL. Here's the thing. He went down with an injury last year. And this kid, Mafa, came in and, in my opinion, looked every bit as good. In fact, there was definitely some talk last year when we were doing some of the live shows and stuff that the Clemson rushing attack looked better with Mafa. Not to mention it's Clemson. They're pumping out NFL recruits left and right. This kid, Mafa, I don't think Clemson's rushing attack takes a hit. I think it'll be every bit as good with Mafa. Not really worried about Will Shipley being gone. They're going to be able to run the football. You know that they're going to have NFL talent all over that offensive line. So
yes, 100%.
Speaking of which, 4 of the 5 starters on the offensive line are back. So yeah, the Clemson's going to be able to run the ball. I don't question that. My question is Cade Klubnik. 19 touchdowns, 9 interceptions is not really what you like to see from the Clemson quarterback. Certainly not what they like to see. It's not what they signed up for when they gave him the job. So is Cade Klubnik able to take a step forward this season? That's the question on the offense.
Yeah, I think a team like this, this is where I think the portal comes into play because there were a lot of good receivers that had a lot of experience. They didn't obviously go get any of them. They were one of the only 2 teams in college football to not take a transfer. It was them and Air Force. They decided not to go get anybody. Their receiver room is very talented. They have Moore and Wesco, who were 2 of the top receiving recruits in the country this year. They're young though. They're not there. They don't have the experience in college football, so that's going to hurt them there. Not having any experience around a quarterback that struggled so much last year, so he's going to be thinking about it too. So I don't know if they necessarily set Klubnik up to not fail, but to be successful this year. But he has to be better than he was. I think marginally the running, like I said, I think the rushing will go down a little bit, but we disagree on that. I don't know how crazy I am about their offense, but that's not usually where Clemson is the best. They're not usually the best offensive team.
Yeah. I think the offense has to be a little bit better, but on the other side of the ball, this is where we really will find out if Dabo Swinney can survive in the new age of college football, in my opinion, because what have we seen over the years with Dabo Swinney's defense? They just keep regurgitating NFL defensive linemen, one after the other. They lost basically their entire defensive line last year. Now, the rest of the defense is okay, and we'll get to it in a second, but they lost basically their entire defensive line. Thing is, theoretically, Clemson's recruiting should have them loaded up again. In fact, I believe they read 2 of their freshmen last year were all American freshmen. So, like, theoretically, they should still be loaded on the defensive line. But in my opinion, this is going to be a true test if Clemson is still Clemson, because they lose their defensive linemen. Can they still reproduce yet another top 10 run defense, top 10 defensive line without utilizing the transfer portal? Because all of their competition, your Georgias, your Miamis, your Florida States, name a couple teams in the ACC, they're utilizing the portal. So can they still pump out? Can they still pull a rabbit out of the hat, lose their defensive line, and pull a top 10 defensive line out of their hat per se without using the portal? That's a huge question in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. The not using the portal thing kind of makes it harder to predict this team's run defense, their D-line overall. That, like you said, they're replacing them with 5 stars. That's great. Those guys still have to hit, and you don't know if they will. So the real tough part was understanding if this D-line is going to be good. Because I think the rest of the defense, and I'm sure you're going to get to it, is kind of understandably better, I think, or in some spots marginally worse. They were such a good pass defense team last year that, like, there's no way they're going to replicate that. But
also, the ACC is now loaded with quarterbacks. Yeah. So
well, when you have Drones, Preston Stone, Cam Ward all coming in, that's
exactly
very difficult.
Not to mention you don't get to play an injured Jordan. Oh no, Jordan Travis played in the Clemson game, so that's a bad example.
Yeah, he wasn't good though. I don't think in that game.
No, I had Clemson and he missed a 27-yard field goal to screw my bet.
Yeah.
That was heartbreaking.
Yeah,
that was the right side, and I argued with people in YouTube comments for like a week about that bet. All right. Speaking of the rest of the defense you mentioned, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is gone. He was a 5th-round pick for the Eagles, so another Clemson Tiger is now an Eagle. He led the team in tackles, but they bring back that other linebacker, Barrett Carter is his name. He was 2nd on the team in tackles, and he's back. But I think he's the only returning starter in the linebacking core, and they did lose 3 starters in the secondary. So again, this is kind of like, this is a test. Is Clemson going to give us a top 10 defense without the portal? Can Dabo Swinney still Dougie with all his competition utilizing the portal?
Yeah, I same thing. I said the same thing as you. The linebacking core will be down a little bit. I still think the secondary, you're returning guys like Barnes and Terrell, they're still going to be in the top 20 of the country in pass defense. I don't really have a question about that. It's the front of their defense, their linebacker core and their D-liner that are going to be real questions here. I trust that Dabo Swinney's a smart guy. I don't know if this could be make or break for him here, because there were a lot of people that thought he was going to leave after last year for Texas A&M. But I think the talent theoretically is there, like you said, that they're recruiting at top level every single year. I mean, what was their class? 14th class in the nation last year. So, yeah, they're still doing a great job getting 5 stars. So they should, by the old college football way, they should still be really good. But everybody else is adding guys that have played college football before, and they're not. So that's going to be very interesting.
So without further ado, let's play the win-loss game. AJ's favorite game. Prop Beaver loves this game. He can't wait to play it. He comes into work. He's like, guys, can we play a quick round of the win-loss game? Week 1 win.
No, they're going to get boat raced out of Atlanta. I told you about that. It's going to be ugly.
Andy's a diehard Georgia fan.
What's
for those
the line
of you
on
who
that
don't
game
know.
now? That line opened in March at like 13.
It's like 2 touchdowns.
14. They're going to lose by 20.
It's 2 touchdowns. So yeah, you got to say loss. App State win, although like
that's gonna be a fun game. That'll be a very fun game to watch.
App State should be good, experienced quarterback. I mean, App State's going to score points. I mean, granted, on the road in Clemson, whatever. NC State.
It's a make or break game. They could lose that game because Grayson McCall is going to be really good at quarterback, but also if their run defense is still inexperienced, I mean, they're going to have ETN week 1, App State is a really good running back week 2, and then NC State has a really good running back week 3. If their run defense is going to be isn't going to be improved enough, they're going to find out immediately because they're going to get run on like crazy the first 3 weeks of the year. So I think
NC State could be a loss.
I think that's a toss up. Yeah.
I mean, how about this? If we're NC State or Florida State, they'll drop 1.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I think they'll lose at Florida State.
Yeah, I don't think.
And I think it's actually not crazy to say they would lose both, but they'll drop 1. So let's put them at 3-2 after the Florida State game. Wake Forest win, home Virginia probably a win, even though that team's improved. Louisville.
I think they get Louisville.
Yeah.
I think they beat Louisville.
Averaging Tech.
That's a lot. I think it's a lot. That's going to probably be a night game if I had to guess. It's probably the game day game that day. That's going to be an impossible environment.
If you're giving their third loss, Virginia Tech, it comes down to the Cox on Thanksgiving weekend.
Oh, they're going to crush them. South Carolina's not going to be good this year. I'm so low on South
So then you have them at 9.
Yeah. I think I'm closer to 8 though, because I think they're going to lose both the NC State and Florida State games.
Give me the over. I think 10 is more likely than 8, even though I have them, full disclosure, I have them at 9 wins. So, but I think they're closer to 10 wins than they are 8.
Okay. It's really just comes down to will these young defensive players be anything? And also will Cade Klubnik get his head out of his ass? Because he was awful last year. So some expectations that he has not reached yet.
All right, next team. We got 2 more. What's next? Georgia Tech?
Georgia Tech.
All right. I mean, another ACC team. ACC's on the come up this year.
Yeah, this
a
is
lot
a
of
very
programs that have a lot to be excited about. And the ACC as a whole definitely like hit rock bottom with the undefeated Florida State team not even making the playoff. And then so many down years from teams like Virginia Tech. Well, actually, Virginia Tech's a bad example. They finally had to come up. But like a lot of the
North
teams.
Carolina had a worse year than I think a lot of people expected last year.
It was a down year for the ACC as a whole, and this year should be a come-up year for the ACC. Yes. And you can throw Georgia Tech right in the mix with Virginia Tech. They have a lot to be excited about here. Head coach Brent Key back for a second season. And the thing is with those 3 teams, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, it seems like all 3 of them hit on their head coach because they're all 3 of those head coaches are in their second or third seasons. This one's Brent Key. His first year with Georgia Tech was last year. They went 7-6, won a bowl game. Was Georgia Tech's first winning season since 2018. So he takes over the team and immediately has a winning season. They did bring in a new defensive coordinator because last year they had Kevin Schur was the interim defensive coordinator, and he got the DC job at Georgia State. I don't think he was fired. I just don't think they ever. I think he was just an interim DC where I don't think he was ever offered the job long term.
Yeah, and I thought they hired.
Yeah, you like really Santucci, right?
Tyler Santucci, top 20 defense last year at Duke with him. I mean, at Duke, having a top 20 defense is unheard of.
That's Elko's defense, though.
He was the one coaching. It's a really good defensive hire there.
So yeah, they bring in Tyler Santucci to be the DC. He was with Duke last year. Before that, he was with Texas A&M for a few years. So dude knows how to coach a defense. So you would have to think. I don't know too much about him. You'd have to think that's a good hire. Georgia Tech's 44th in returning production, 13 returning starters, just 5 on defense, which could be a concern. We'll get to that. But on the offensive side of the ball, there's not much to dislike here. Similar to Virginia Tech, this is a team that thinks they have their quarterback. Yep. Haynes King is back. Over 2,700 yards last year, 26 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. He also can use his legs. And also, there's another Haynes that runs the ball. So Haynes King is the quarterback, and they bring their running back, Jamal Haynes, back over 1,000 yards last year. They did lose their RB2, but they're good. Quarterback, running back, they're good. Receiving weapons, maybe a little bit more question mark. They lost both their tight ends that they liked, but I think they brought in 2 tight ends through the portal. I don't know much about the receiving weapons, but from what I'm reading, one of the receivers they brought in is from Mississippi State, I think, or maybe the tight end.
Yes.
So from what I'm reading, they like what they have as receiving weapons, but I personally don't know much about it. 4 starters back on the offensive line. 4 of their 5 starters back on the offensive line, and their 5th starter is a transfer from Middle Tennessee who started last year. Mm-hmm. So they bring in, it's 4 starters back, and then the 5th starter is replaced with a guy with starting experience. So offensive line should be solid. Again, another ACC team with Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech. I like the offense.
Yeah, the offense is kind of what holds me to this team. I mean, obviously they were a terrible defensive team, really good offensive team last year, and I expect the same. Replacing the 1-0 lineman with a guy with experience from Middle Tennessee is huge. 3 of their top 4 receivers are back, so those are wide receivers. Obviously, the tight ends are gone, but I think they can replace them. Plus, this is more of a team that runs the ball anyway. They're 32nd in run frequency, 102nd in pass frequency. So this is clearly a team that wants to run the ball more, and I think they have that. Jamal Haynes is toward the top of the ACC in rushing. He'll be with Ott and Quinn Allen, those guys. So yeah, this offense should be really good. The bigger part is the defense, which I think they improved coaching wise, but your personnel has to also improve.
By the way, this was an offensive line that was 6th in the country in offensive line yards.
This was probably the best offensive
Now, they
line
did play against a little bit of an easier schedule last year, and it's not quite the case this year, but still, offensive line should be generating some push for sure. But then we get to the defensive side of the ball, and this is where it kind of turns a little bit negative for Georgia Tech. Not that I think it's a disaster or anything, but only 2 returning starters on the defensive line. And by the way, Georgia defensive success rate last year at home, 130th. Like, this team just could not make stops at home. I mean, I guess it was a little better on the road, but defensive line numbers, terrible against the run, didn't generate much pressure at all. Not a great pass rush. So only 2 returning starters on a defensive line that wasn't very good last year. I will say they got an edge rusher back from injury that they like. And they also loaded up in the portal. They got a defensive tackle from Miami and an edge rusher from USC. So, I mean, I guess it has to go up just because it was so bad last year.
Yeah, the way that I thought this defense was ran, obviously, when they hired Santucci, this is a guy who at Duke, they geared a lot of what they do to stopping the run. And this team's statistically, they were worse against the run last year. They're 122nd in yards per carry. But caveat to that, teams didn't really run on them that much. If you go through the frequencies, they were 11th in opponent pass frequency, 123rd in run frequency. So teams weren't really trying to run on them that much. Now, to the flip to that, this is now a conference where you're adding Preston Stone. A lot of great quarterbacks are coming in. So your run defense might be better, but you can't hurt your pass defense. And they lost some of their best corners, and they didn't add transfers. They added from lower level schools. So I think that they're going to be the completely reverse. I think their run defense will be a little bit better because obviously they were so bad at it when teams were trying to run, but they weren't really getting run on. But their pass defense, I think it'll be a little bit worse because the personnel is worse there. So I think this could be a completely different defense than it was last year. And I don't think it's really geared towards being successful in the conference that they're in now. This is a good quarterback conference now. And some guys that come in, they will throw all over this team.
And and what Andy said about the secondary, completely agree with. Now, I read that they brought in a kid from Tennessee that they like at corner or something. But yeah, definitely question marks on the defense. Here's the thing. Now we get to the shittiest thing of all for Georgia Tech. Their schedule.
Oh yeah, that's why I was going to say that.
Disaster.
I was going to say that if you preface the reason we're talking pretty glowingly about this team. Their number's 5 because they do get very unlucky. I mean,
this
obviously
is crazy.
Just their non-conference. If you read them out, they play VMI and Georgia State. Those are usually they have to play Georgia and Notre Dame. Those are 2 of the top 7 teams in the country. So those are 2 really tough non-con games. Plus, they have to play pretty much every top of the line team in the ACC.
Every single
Clemson.
one of them.
Besides Clemson, they play the top 4 teams in the
Look
conference.
at their last 6 games of the schedule.
Yeah, they're probably not winning any of it. I think they can win North Carolina, but other than that, they're getting
it's at North Carolina. At North Carolina, Notre Dame, at Virginia Tech, that they'll probably get crushed. Virginia Tech looked really good. Miami, NC State, at Georgia.
Yeah,
I mean, they're finishing the season 0-6, or like he said, maybe they could steal North Carolina. Maybe they could potentially steal Miami if that program hasn't sold by then. But yeah, theoretically that should be 0-6 to finish the season. And despite, I mean, maybe they're 5-1.
With this number, what are they kind of lead? Because like when you look at a number like this, a 5, or you look at the win-loss game. There's like a game they're kind of hinting at. Like, oh, will they win or lose this one? What game are they hinting
Maybe
at
Louisville?
here? Is it Louisville or is it?
Because you can already. Syracuse? And by the way, at Syracuse isn't
that's the thing. At Syracuse is the one that I'm looking at because I mean I think Louisville you could probably chalk up as a loss anyway. They'll probably crush Duke, but like.
Dude, well, where are the wins? Georgia State, VMI, Duke. That's 3 wins. Syracuse probably.
You're kind of banking on them winning those 2 games in between that as well, Louisville and Syracuse.
So 5 in a row.
Unless but they're that.
They're not going to drop any of those games.
Yeah, they would have to not. They would have to also win.
There's
a game
no way.
too.
It's got to be under here.
Because then they just push. So they'd have to be unless everybody thinks that this I thought the line for the Florida State game was oddly close. It's only 2 touchdowns. I think they're like 4 touchdowns better than Georgia Tech, but that game's in Ireland, so maybe they catch them sleeping. But this is an under just because I mean this is a brutal schedule, and I think it'll kind of stunt the way that we look at Georgia Tech going into next year. But I think that sucks too because I think this team could have been like a 7-8 win team with a normal schedule.
I know.
But this playing Notre Dame is weird for them. That's a weird game for them to play.
But Haynes King is only a junior. Hear me out. They win 4 games this year. Haynes King comes back for his senior year. we bet Georgia Tech sleeper to win the ACC in 2025.
I could see that. I'd see if Haynes a senior this year too. I don't know. That was a
let me check.
huge keeping Jamal Haynes too, but
he's a junior.
Yeah. So a lot of this team could be back next year. This schedule that is.
All right, next game, the final team, and this will be a quicker one.
Yeah, this team
Stanford. There's just a lot of unknowns here. So Stanford, Troy Taylor back for his second season as head coach. Stanford's had 3 consecutive 3-9 years, and I will say, as far as Troy Taylor goes, dude really didn't have much to work with. If you remember, there was like a panic with the Stanford program before last year. No one wanted the job because like the Pac-12 was dissolving, and it was like. They didn't have a head coach like 2 or 3 months before the season started. Like it was crazy. So this dude took this head coaching job, Troy Taylor, kind of last minute without notice, and didn't have much time. A lot of his pieces had transferred out, so he didn't have much to work with last year. That being said, they're second in returning production this year, so he didn't have much to work with last year, but that's all back. So at the very least, he has a lot of experience. Quarterback Ashton Daniels is back.
Yes, quarterback's back. I'm sorry, I was looking at Troy Taylor.
No, but I'm saying, like, do you like Daniels?
I mean, he can run in the old ACC. I think he'd be great, but I think this is a conference where you have to pass now, and I don't think he's very good at that. I was going to mention something with Troy Taylor too. If you want to know how Stanford's season went last year, they hired Troy Taylor from Sacramento State. Then they played Sacramento State and lost the game. So like that kind of just tells you what this team. I mean, this team was awful last year. So plus they were in a conference where they were kind of going to get boat raced every game. So besides the one really great moment they had last year, I didn't really like the team. And Ashton Daniels too, in that game against Colorado, he was sick. He was slinging the ball all across the field. I think that gave people kind of a connotation about him that shouldn't be. He's not a guy that can really do that. He just did that in that one game against such a bad Colorado defense.
Yeah, that was crazy.
He won't be doing that.
Not to mention, like, one of the plays was like mossing over the it wasn't.
So like I think that team kind of got overshot. And I think he did too. I don't really like him. I mean, I think he's a decent quarterback, maybe he has potential, but I don't really think that this is anything. And their running backs also last year couldn't run for shit.
They're gone though. Top 2 backs
they're all
are
gone and they couldn't run for shit. So and they didn't really improve that much. They didn't improve there at all. So I think the offense will be very stunted here.
They do have all 5 starters on the offensive line back, but like
this is always a good offensive line team.
Yeah,
this is always a good team.
So I mean that's something that they have the starters back on the offensive line, and like Andy said, usually this is a team that's able to recruit and develop offensive linemen. Their offensive line numbers from last year are pretty bad. So you would think that they probably are the type of team that usually hits. So that offensive line, I'm sure, will be improved this year. That's something, but not really a big believer in Ashton Daniels. Both their RBs are gone. They have their top 3 receivers back. Oh, that one receiver is nice. They got.
Their top 3 receivers are back, like you said, but they leaned on the tight end a lot last year. He left, he went to Georgia, so like they did lose a lot of receivers from him. So.
All right, and I just want to get the name of that receiver. What was his name? Is it it's Iomanner. Shit, I don't know how to say his name.
I'm sure you butchered.
It's number 13. You know who I'm talking about. If you watch Stanford, he was nice. He was the guy that mossed Travis Hunter in the Colorado game to win.
He went ballistic in that game.
Yeah, that was crazy, that play. So he's still there. All right, on the other side of the ball, they lost 5 of their top 8 defensive linemen. But, I mean, they did add a couple transfers in. They added a kid from Penn who was first team all Ivy League conference last year. Something. All 3 linebackers are back, and they added a kid from Northern Iowa, so the linebackers could only be better. They lost a safety in the secondary, but other than that, everyone's back. They actually added a transfer from Washington. So defense, you'd have to say, will be improved, but again, this was a really bad defense last year.
Yeah, kind of feel the same way. Bringing in the transfer from Yale's, he's supposed to be very good. Again, that's much harder competition now, obviously. High-end transfers in the linebacking unit, but again, they have to hit on those guys. Secondary was awful, but it was, again, the Pac-12 last year where quarterbacks were slinging the ball like crazy. And I think the ACC could be similar to that, but still not quite like that. I mean, last year, I'd imagine let me look at their schedule from last year, but let's see who they had to play. I mean, they had to play Caleb Williams. They had to play Fafida's first game. Yeah, Bo Nix, Shador, Garbers at UCLA. Yeah, Penix and Ward.
DJU.
They had a
Notre
brutal
Dame.
quarterbacks. Yeah. So this team was destined to have terrible passing numbers last year. Those will naturally go down because they're not going to be facing that much talent. They'll have to face some good teams.
They got some quarterbacks on the schedule, though. They still have to go to Notre Dame. They have to go to NC State.
Yeah, Notre Dame's not going to have as good of a passing offense this year.
Riley Leonard's passing offense, but it's still they're going to run. They're going to be good. Anyway, let's do the win-loss game because I really don't have a ton of interest in Stanford this year. So home against TCU. I mean, that's a loss. This should be a loss. Yeah.
It could be a weird game where they get caught, but they're probably not going to.
I like in an opener at home with 5 offensive linemen back. I don't hate the idea of taking Stanford to cover the number there.
Yeah. Let me look. I'm looking on ESPN now. We got
8.5 at home with offensive line back.
I don't hate that.
I don't hate that at all, but no, that's a loss. Cal Poly's a win. At Syracuse,
that's a loss.
They should
travel on a Friday.
At Clemson loss, Virginia Tech loss, at Notre Dame loss, SMU loss. There's a win. They could beat Wake Forest.
Well, but this is the thing. Wake Forest has to win a game too. So when we say this,
they're winning Wake Forest.
All right, we'll give
at NC State loss, Louisville loss, at Cal probably a loss.
Why are they playing? Are they staying? And they'd have to be staying in California for that game. San Jose State at the end of the season's a win, maybe, but that's only 3 there. They'd have to win that. They'd have to.
I only have them at 2 with Wake Forest being the 3rd.
But if you think they could beat TCU,
no, I think that the game's winnable. But I'm saying as far as we're not asking who's going to cover the 8.5. We're asking who's going to win, and you would have to say TCU probably wins.
It's completely,
especially when TCU got caught napping in their opener last year. I feel like there's no way they'll. I feel like there's no way they'll let that happen again. So
Hoover's a young
under.
guy too.
Thanks everyone for watching. I'm going to meeting my parents for my birthday dinner, so I'm going to have a steak dinner right now. So everyone, be sure to bet responsibly tonight. Be back tomorrow. Oh, let me look at the MLB schedule real quick.
Only a couple day games.
All right, so we'll just do the same time tomorrow. Maybe me and Toast will do a morning show.